Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday. I have a headache and my body hurts. But I'm pushing through it. I think the heater, something's going on with my heater. Every time I use it, it seems like I wake up with a headache and my body is stiff. So, I don't know. But anyway, today I want to talk about actions. Actually, I want to talk about the 3 types of manifestors. There could be more, but I'm just going to focus on three levels. I think 3 is a good number. It's very simplistic. It's easy to understand. And so there's these types of manifestors that we have. And so that's what I want to talk about. And then you can figure out where you are and maybe figure out where you need to be, what you need to do to get to a different place. All right. So there are 3 types of manifestors. There's a type of manifestor who uses action to create something. However, no matter how hard they try, it never works. Whatever it is that they desire never comes to manifest for them. And so what they end up manifesting is lack, scarcity. That's the first one. The second one is the person who uses action in order to manifest things, just like the first one, but the difference is this person actually can manifest things through their action. That's the second one. And then you have the third one that really doesn't have to put in any action at all, and what they desire just manifests. It just shows up for them. Minimal effort. I mean, when I say no action, what I mean is they put in minimal effort. They don't have to see the whole thing all the way through, but they are a participating member of the collaboration with the creator or the universe, however you want to say it. They are in collaboration with it. They're just not using a whole lot of manpower to make that happen. So you have the first one who uses a great deal of manpower, and they can't manifest the things that they are attempting to manifest. Then you have the second one that puts in willpower and can get what they desire. And then you have the last one who can basically do nothing and do nothing using willpower and manifest their desires. So the difference between these two, it really ties in with the last 4 videos that I've made. And if you remember, if you've been listening to those videos, if you have listened to those videos, then you understand that there is faith that you must have. And what happens with the first manifestor who uses a lot of willpower to make things happen, but it never happens the way that they desire it to happen, or it doesn't happen at all. These people have no faith. They have a different conviction within them, and that belief, that conviction that they have solidified within their being is counteracting all of their efforts, all of their willpower efforts. So they can spin the wheel. It's like a hamster being on the hamster wheel. You know how, I don't know, they have these hamsters and they're on this wheel, and as the wheel turns, it generates power because it's hooked up to the generator. Well, if you could look at the soul as the generator, then it would make more sense. So you have the hamster on the wheel running and running and running and running, but there's a disconnect between the wheel and the generator. Therefore, nothing's going to happen. The wheel's just spinning and spinning and spinning, but there's nothing to power the universe to manifest the desires that are had. And that's where a lot of people are right now, where they try and try. Well, I don't want to say it's really a mixture, because people try to manifest things and they just can't do it. And you hear them, their stories are like, all my life I've struggled, all my life, life is hard, I try and I just can't seem to get ahead. There are these people who it seems like they're going to get ahead. Sometimes they're like, oh, this deal's in line, it's in place, it's going to happen. I worked hard to make it happen, and then the deal falls through and nothing happens, and that which they desired doesn't come to fruition, and it can't be experienced. These people, this is, kind of like what my mother was doing. She was on the hamster wheel, and as hard as she worked, as much as she did, she couldn't get ahead. And the reason why that is because of her conviction. The conviction that she had with her being that she wasn't supported. Life is difficult. She has to do it on her own, and she can't do it on her own. She was a strong woman, but that's the part that held her back unknowingly. She didn't know that being this strong woman is what held her back. Because in the eyes of a woman, a strong woman is, I don't need anybody. I can do everything on my own. And that's fine. There are women who can feel that way, but what's in their soul is different than the mind. So a woman or a man can say, hey, I can do this. And it's different for women because historically they have been told and taught that they're not capable of doing things. Back in the day, it was, women had to excuse themselves when men were present because it was believed that they couldn't understand man talk. They couldn't understand the things that men would talk about. And it's not that they couldn't understand, but man had to be in this position in order to feel good, in order to feel like they were on top, or it's what they needed to do in order to feel proud of themselves. Because anyone else who has to force something into place like that, forcing themselves at the top and forcing the women at the bottom, that means they're living from the mind, they're not living from the soul. Because they're ignoring the inadequacies oh my God, what word am I looking for? Inadequacies, there we go. They're suppressing those things or hiding those things. So when we look at the first manifestor, they manifest lack because that's what they have within them. That's what they have conviction in, the lack. They don't have abundance in their soul. They have a lack, scarcity in their soul. And that's where they feel. And that's, again, what you feel and where you feel is where you create from. And so that's the first one. And that's very common. It's very typical. And everyone has this in some way, shape, or form, in some area in their lives. Like, you can take the most richest man on the planet, and he will still have some scarcity in his soul. It may not be with money. It may not be about business, but it may be about relationships. It may be about relationship with the family. It may be about the relationship with children, with people. There are many amazing people who are, Elon Musk is one of them, where he's a very brilliant man, but he lacks in connection with people. There is a disconnect with Elon Musk, and that has a lot to do with the emotional injuries that are within him. That has a lot to do with the scarcity that is within him. Same thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is brilliant when it comes to manipulating or getting people to see things his way. However, there's a disconnect, there's a lack, there's scarcity in terms of connection, there's scarcity in terms of emotion. And so it doesn't matter if, we focus, I should say human beings focus a lot on money, a lot on wealth, what you have. This is a measurement of your worth, of your value. And so we tend to look at these things and we see people who have things, a lot of things, and we use that as a standard. And we don't see anything else because we're blinded by the shiny bling of the jewelry or the cars or the house or the vacations and the whatevers, all the things that they can do financially. Most people are blinded by those things. And so when we see those things, we kind of ignore everything else. We're like, oh, their life is so perfect. They have all of this. They can go on Rodeo Drive. They can drive Bentleys. They can drive Rolls-Royce. They don't even have to drive. They have a chauffeur. All of these different things people see and they get fixated on, and they don't see the wholeness of a person. And it's very important to see the wholeness of the person, because if you want to be a well-rounded person and you want abundance in many areas, you're going to have to see the truth of everything. You're going to have to see the truth of everybody. If there's someone that you look up to, or someone, I should say, if there's someone who you look up to, then it's important to see the great things about that person, excuse me, but also see where they lack. Also look at where their lack resides. Look at where their scarcity resides. I've been looking at some, I was looking at a video, I don't remember the name of the guy, but he was some kind of law of attraction, maybe motivational. He has like a program or something you sign up for, kind of like that. I think it's Tony Robbins. I think that's him. I was looking, there was an ad with Tony Robbins before the YouTube video started, and I was looking at him speak, and there's something missing. And I saw the big crowds. I mean, he fills big old rooms, and he has lots of people filling those seats. So he's generating a lot of money, but there's something lacking. And I could see it as he was talking, because I don't know, some people can see it, some people can see it and don't want to see it or acknowledge it. But when someone's talking, you can see when all of themselves are not present. They're not fully there in the words and the expression. And so a lot of times it's just words, but that's what most people focus on, are the words. This is why people get burned when someone says, I love you and I want to be with you forever, and I want to do things for you. They don't see the real, they don't see the realness of the person. They don't see the whole of the person. That's the word I was looking for. They don't see the wholeness of the person, and therefore they can't see that the words are not, they're not backed up. There's something missing behind the words. There's scarcity present, and they don't see it. There's scarcity of love. They don't see that, and this is why they get burned. And if you understood, because there's, I mean, when you're listening to these people who are motivational speakers, or even my videos, if you listen to my videos, sometimes there's something missing. Some days you can hear it. If I'm distracted, if I'm tired, I'm not fully present, I'm just speaking the words. And then there's sometimes you can hear me speak and you can feel that I'm really into it. You can feel the conviction that I have. You can feel the love behind it. You can just feel, you can sense me. And then there's times where I'm not present all the way. And you're just hearing, I'm just speaking the words. And so that's what I'm saying is, it's just important to understand, if you're looking at someone or learning from someone, you need to be able to see the whole of that person, because if you can see the whole of that person, then you can see what's lacking. And then this will allow you the ability to accept some things and not accept others. For instance, like when I used to listen to Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks is a spirit that comes through and channels through Esther Hicks. It's not Abraham Hicks, it's just Abraham, but for the sake of how we see things here on the planet, we call Abraham Hicks. So when I used to listen to Abraham, I was like, wow, this is great, but there was always something missing. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew something was missing. I knew there wasn't the whole truth. I knew the wholeness wasn't there. And so everything was too good. Everything was too perfect. And if you ever listen to Abraham Hicks, I don't think Abraham Hicks will ever admit that they don't know something, or that they have, or that they have given misinformation or something like that. It's very rare for them to do something like that, because once you admit a wrongdoing, people hang on to that. So they're very cautious about that. And they know how to, or I should say Abraham, they call themselves a group, but Abraham knows how to, well, I should say this, Abraham can read the energy of the audience. Abraham can see the doubt, can see everything in your, not everything, but a lot of things in your soul, especially in the soul of the audience. They can see what dwells within the spirit body of the person. They can see the emotions. And this is how they are able to tailor their conversation to always have the upper hand, because they know where the lacks are within the being. It's just like any other spirit in the spirit world who can see that. They can exploit that which they can see. But anyway, that's a different subject. But what I'm saying is, be mindful of this. You have to be able to see the wholeness of a person. So we move on to the second manifestor, who is a person who can use physical action, who can use their willpower to take action and manifest some of the things. These people believe that action equals results. There are these types of people who are action-oriented. They're goal-oriented. These goal-oriented people are action-oriented people. And they have a belief, they have a conviction that you have to get up off of your ass in order to get something. This is a lot of old school. This is real old school. Back in the day, people will say, hey, you have to get up, you have to get on the farm, you have to do physical work in order to get your reward. In order to get something out of something, you have to put in the energy, physical energy, because back then people didn't understand energy as we understand energy today. Energy was manpower. That's what energy was back in the day. That's how it was understood. That was the extent of what of energy understood. So these people have a belief and conviction. They wholeheartedly believe that you have to get up and do something in order for something to happen. Within their being, they believe this. So they're able to manifest many things by working hard, working long hours, working 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, sometimes 15 hours a day. These people believe, they understand and believe this to be the truth. There is no way that anybody's going to hand you something, this is their belief, because you can't get anything free in this world. That's their belief. So they work hard, they go into the office, or they work on a farm, or they do manual labor, or whatever it is that they're doing, but they do believe that you have to do something physically in order to get something in return. That's the only way you're going to make it. These people generally get what they want because they're making it happen, but only because they believe if they do something, it will happen. These aren't the people who, it's not who have a knowing that I have to do something, but inside they believe that it won't work. They believe that they're not worthy of it. They don't have any value. No one's going to, they can put in the work, but no one's going to help them. This is what you see, especially with African Americans. African Americans have this, or I just say black people here in America and in Africa. They believe, because of the way things have gone for so long, that they're not worthy. They don't have any value, and they've taken on this belief because those who conquered them and overpowered them have set this feeling in place, have set these beliefs in place, and now it's a conviction. You don't have to tell a black person that they're unworthy. They already have that within them. You don't have to tell them that you don't have any value, because that's already within them. It already dwells within them. This is part of it's a programming. It is a programming. It's programming that has taken place over hundreds of years, and now it's solidified. It was a thought. It was a feeling by others. It became a belief, and then it became a conviction. And now you don't have to do anything. Black people will destroy themselves. You can see that quite clearly. You can see that, especially because you see them in the news all the time. You know, why do you think the ghetto neighborhood is predominantly black? Because they destroy themselves. There's nothing of value there, because they don't have value. They don't feel that they're valuable within themselves. It's sad, but it's the truth, and that's why I speak it, because it's something that needs to be understood. You know, you don't have to be black to suffer, but I'm saying for the most part, this is the group that suffers a great deal. I'm not going to say they suffer the most, but they suffer a great deal. There's white people and Hispanic people who suffer just the same as black people do. There are children starving in Africa, but there's also children starving in Mexico. You know, there's kids going hungry who are white. So it doesn't matter the skin color, but there is a population that experiences it, or I should say there's a greater population of people who experience that more than others, I should say. But everybody experiences it on some level, because pain and suffering is not determined by skin color. It's not determined by race, ethnicity. It's not determined by sex, gender, whatever, you know, all this other stuff coming up, but it's not determined by that. It's determined by who accepts it, who has accepted this false idea of not being worthy, or not being or not having any value. So anyway, this second group, they, like I said, they're able to have the mansion, but once they stop, it's lost. It's lost. And then there are people who money just comes to them. This is the third group. These people believe They understand energy a bit differently than the first two groups. They understand energy in terms of them not having to work for things. It just comes to them. They're still participating in the process, but they're participating in thought, they're participating in feeling, and they have an understanding and a conviction, not just a belief, but a conviction that things come to them easily, effortlessly and easily. And they don't have a whole bunch of barriers and blocks in terms of things coming to them. The doubt isn't there. They don't have anything working against their belief system. So, meaning what dwells in the mind also dwells within the soul. What dwells in the mind also dwells within the soul. So there's congruency going on. There's a direction in which the mind is heading, and there's a direction in which the soul is heading, and they're both heading in the same direction. The thought of this is what I desire, this is what feels good, this is what I want, is the same as the soul saying, okay, yeah, this is absolutely possible. So the mind says, looks, it observes something, it determines whatever it is that it desires, it has a feeling of having that, and the soul is like, yeah, we can do that. I believe I can have that. Versus the second one, who only believes they can have it if they work hard, and versus the first one, which wants things, desires things, but the soul says, I can't have that. For some reason, I feel I can't get that. And they'll come up with all types of reasons. I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough. All of these things in the soul go completely against what the mind has decided it wants for itself. And it's interesting because the mind is, for the first group, the mind is oftentimes looking for things to create the feeling that is completely opposite of the soul. Meaning they want the things and the success, the items, the physical things and the success, the recognition. They want all of these things so that they feel good. The difference between them and the other two is they already feel good about themselves. There's nothing there. Well, I don't want to say that, but there's nothing in terms of lack that's so strong that would prevent them from manifesting something. And the last one, the third group, they're what you would call a master manifester. Well, I mean, we're all master manifestors. We're manifesting something, whether we're manifesting lack or manifesting abundance. We are manifesting something. I gotta turn this heat on my feet because it is too cold. It is 45 degrees. So, those are the three types. So you have to see where you are. You have to see where you are, because if you want things to change in your life, then you have to understand why you're getting what you're getting. I talked about happiness, and this is part of it. You will become more happy once you understand how to manifest. You become more joyful and pleased. Damn skunk. Why did I think? See, that's my law of attraction. You will become more happy and more joyful, more content with your life when you're able to conjure up something that you want, that you desire, and then be able to make that happen. You will feel better about yourself. You'll feel good about yourself. And you're supposed to, because we're here to create. We're here to manifest something. Whatever it is that we desire, we can manifest it. It doesn't matter how big, and that's the problem. That is part of the problem, is sometimes we see things to be too big. It's too far. It's way out of our reach. This is how a lot of people think. We see these big houses and we're like, oh wow, that's a $1 million home. And it's like people will feel as if they can't have that because it's too far out of reach. It's just out of reach. It's not something that they feel, that they believe they can manifest, versus the person who has it. Obviously the person who has it feels, and why is that trash can in the middle of the, you guys gotta see this. This is crazy. Look at that trash can in the middle of the street like that. Like that. Versus that one who's by the on the by the thing. That is so funny. Let me put this back up here. So you know, these what was I saying? Hold on a second. Oh, these people in these houses, you know, the people who have the big ones, they believe that they can have it. But understand that the people who have these big houses, there's the second and the third types of manifestors. They're the ones who have to work hard, and then there are ones who don't have to work hard, but they both have multi-million-dollar homes. You can have someone who is never home, who's never in the house to enjoy the house, and then you have the person who stays at home and makes their money. It just comes. The check comes. The check comes. There are people who have to work hard, and there's people who do very little, and it just comes. You know, so it just depends on what it is. Like, some people can be an owner of the business, you know, make a few phone calls here and there, but you have other people who are working hard to make that happen. So you're not the one who's manifesting all the hard work in order to make something happen. You're the one who just has the thought, you have the idea, you have the belief, you have the conviction, and then other people who have to work hard are put in place to do things because they have to have their manifestation come to fruition. Right? That everyone plays we're all cooperative components to everything. So it just depends on which cooperative component you want to be in this system of things that are happening every day. So, do you want to be, like, for instance, do you want to be the doctor? The doctor, like, I'm taking the example because of the ambulance in front of me. Do you want to be the doctor who really doesn't have to work long hours? You can reach me by phone. I'll be at home. Oh, I got to do a surgery 15, 20, 30 minutes. Okay, fine. There, I just made $60, $80, $100,000. Surgeons make a lot of money, you know? So, you know, it just depends. Or do you want to be the ambulance person who has to work long hours and overtime just to make ends meet? This is the difference. It's all part of a system, you know? How is it the doctor isn't going to get the patient in order to barely put hours in unless the ambulance guy does it, but the ambulance guy has to be, you know, basically present 24/7 just to get a sickly person in their vehicle to take to the hospital. You know? What about the nurses? The nurses have to work long hours on their feet all the time. You know? They have to be the ones to say, okay, doctor, this is what's going on. We ran this test. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. The doctor says, hey, I want this, this, and this. Go and do it. And then bring it back to me when you're done, and I'll make my decision. This is what I'm saying. Like, there are people who have to work hard and people who don't have to work hard. And then on the flip side of that, or I should say on the same token, there are doctors who have to work extremely long hours. There are doctors who work at the clinica. They have to work at the clinic. They're a doctor, MD, just like the other MDs, but they're working at the clinic in the hood. You know, they have to be there, 9, 10, 12 hours working for crumbs because these people don't have insurance. You know, it just depends on your law of attraction and what kind of manifestor you are. But it's something you need to be aware of. Some people have never thought about this, but it is a thing. It is a thing. Absolutely, it's a thing. So, you know, I fall in all the categories. And most of us do, because there are some things that I can work at and it won't happen. There's some things that I can work at and it will happen. And then there's some things I don't have to work at all and it just happens. It just happens. So for instance, like, you know, I don't know, just like at work, like there were people who, you know, were kind of like being abusive. Not kind of, they were being abusive. They're being bullies. And as I changed myself internally, as I became a different person, as I transformed my being to not have so much resentment and judgment and condemnation and anger and frustration towards the other people who were doing that, they all left. They all found different jobs. They were moved to different departments. Like, it just happened. It just happened. I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to do anything. It just happened. The universe took care of everything. And that's how I manifest things. Sometimes opportunities come up where, you know, I benefit from it, but I didn't have to do anything. It was just handed to me. Again, like my house, I use that as an example because it still blows my mind, you know, that I was basically given a brand new house and I didn't have to work for it, and I still don't have to work for it, and it's just there, and it generates me money. It generates me money, and the thing is, prior to that, I was struggling. I told you, that, it was hard to make ends meet, blah, 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 blah. I said how difficult it was financially. And then all of a sudden, I wanted more money. I wanted to make more money. And the amount of money that I wanted to make, I'm actually making with the house. The house is making me money. It was given to me like, here you go. And not only we're going to give it to you, the universe is like, we're going to provide an opportunity, because that's all the universe does, is provide opportunity. That was actually going to be the other video topic. I'll do that tomorrow about opportunity and stuff like that. But now it's hot. So, the universe presented the opportunity. All I had to do is do it. I had to be the cooperative component to the potential that the universe put before me. And I didn't even think about doing that, but it just kind of happened. It's just, like I said, we're all of these types of manifestors. But we have to figure out, we have to understand, we have to see where we are, where we stand in the way we manifest. Like, in what areas do we manifest, like number 1, number 2, and number 3? What things come to us easily? What things come to us when we work, when we put in effort? And what types of things can't we generate? Like, how hard do we try to make something happen, but it doesn't happen? For some people, it's relationships. Some people can't find a good man, and some people can't find a good woman. No matter how hard you try, and you'll say, I've used dating apps, I've used websites, I've gone to the bar, I've gone to the club, I've gone to the church, I've gone here, I've gone there, I've been set up on blind dates, I've been set up by my friends, I've dated my friends, all these things, and you can't seem to find someone who will love you. Well, because there's something inside of you that feels you can't be loved. And the reason why this is because you didn't feel loved growing up. There are experiences that have been had by some people where they feel unloved. Therefore, they have this, not just a belief, but this conviction that won't go anywhere because it's a conviction. They hold it as truth. You hold it as truth. And when you do this, when you try to make something happen, but within your soul, you're holding the complete opposite as truth, the universe can only bring you that which dwells within your soul. If you have abundance and you have conviction regarding this abundance, then guess what? You're gonna get the abundance. If you have scarcity and you have conviction about this scarcity, then guess what the universe is going to give you? It doesn't matter what's in your mind if it's already set in your soul, because the soul is like this is just like the soul right here. Your mind is like the menu at a restaurant. All the ideas floating around, this idea, that idea, pancakes. Okay, what kind of pancakes? Ooh, I want the one with strawberry. Would you like strawberry sauce on that? Ooh, yeah. Layer it on there, baby. Put it on there. The other ones, ooh, you know what? And bring me a stack of cinnamon apple, whatever, pancakes. And while you're at it, bring some of this and bring some of that. The mind is like wanting all of these things. But if you don't place the order with the cook, you ain't getting it. That's the difference. Your mind has an idea, has the pictures of what you want, but if you do not put your order in, if your order is not solidified within your soul, then the universe can't bring it to you. You have to put the order in. You have to know when you put your order in. Understand, when you put your order in, you know what you're going to get. You believe it's coming. You don't believe your scrambled eggs, sausage, and hash brown are coming until you put your order in. It's just the thought. It's just an idea. But you look like I can want breakfast right now, as I do want breakfast right now. And I can want it and want it and want it. But if I don't put the order in, it's not going to happen. But here's the thing. If I don't believe I can put the order in, it's not going to happen. Because I'm not going to even attempt to put the order in. If I feel I don't have enough money to do that, then I can't put the order in. I don't believe I can put that order in. I don't believe I can talk to the waitress and say, hey, look, I want this, this, and this, and expect to get it when I know I don't have any money in my pocket. There's a belief in me that says this waitress is not going to put my order in. You understand? This is your belief. So if you believe that you can't put your order in with the waitress, and so the cook, which is the universe, can't prepare it and bring it to you, if you have this belief that that's not going to happen, you're not even going to attempt to make it happen. That should have been the first one. There should have been 4 altogether. But what I'm saying is, you can know what you want. You can have the idea in your mind as to what you want. But if you don't believe that you can put the order into the universe and the universe respond with the results of that order, with the order that you have placed, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And these are the people who go in, they sit down, they look at all the stuff on the menu, and they're like, yeah, I want this, I want that car, I want that house, but I can't get it because I don't have any money. When I bought my house, I didn't have any thought. There was no thought of not being able to buy the house. None at all. There was no thought that I couldn't have it. There wasn't any worry. Is it going to go through? Isn't it going to go through? Like, I had my apartment. I was set. I didn't have any resistance. Some people want a house so badly. And they're like, we want a house, we want a house, we want a house. That wasn't me. I had a 3-bedroom apartment. I rented 2 of the rooms out. I was already not paying any rent. I think I was paying $15. I was paying $15. Because I think I had a 3-bedroom apartment, and I rented, and it was for $1,215? Yeah, $1,215. That's how much it was. That's how much the rent was. And I rented the rooms out at $600 a piece. $600 a piece. So basically they paid half the rent. Each one of them paid half the rent. The only thing that was left was the $15. So I didn't have this feeling like, oh my gosh, this house is going to be everything. No. I did have an idea as to what was going to happen when I got it. I had already had it in my mind, like, if I get the house, then I'm renting the rooms out. Instead of renting 2 rooms, I'll rent all 3 of them out, and that's what I do. I don't pay for my house. My house is paying for itself. And then some. I'm making money on top of that. So this is what I'm saying, like, the feelings that were in me when I got my house, there was no resistance. This is why it was so shocking when it was presented to me. I was like, oh, like that. And I don't got to put anything down. Like, everything was just flowing. I didn't have to put anything down. And I have yet to make a mortgage payment on my own. On my own. There's always been something else in place doing it for me. Ooh. Oh, this honking child. And it's important to understand the feeling and the beliefs that you have. I never believed that it wasn't going to happen, and I wasn't so hell-bent on it happening. Like, it wasn't something that had to happen, and I wasn't going to be disappointed if it didn't happen. It was nice being in the process. That's what I was really focused on. I was focused on the process. When I met with the what is it, the lender or whatever, she was like, you are the best buyer I have ever dealt with. Ever. Because everything that I did, I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect. I looked at everything that, like, when they asked for, like, stubs and bank statements and all that stuff. I had Excel sheets, I had cover sheets, I had table of contents. Look, and that was my focus because I like being orderly. I like having things in place. I like having things move smoothly. I like doing things that are very clear, where there's no misinterpretation about anything. And that's what I was enjoying. I was enjoying the process, just like Uber. I enjoy the process, and some people, when I do Uber, I generally only work on weekends, but I used to bring in $1,000 a week extra on top of everything else that I have coming in. And the thing is, it didn't seem like work. I enjoyed it. I look forward to meeting people. I look forward, and I started back when I was around the time I was a hypnotist. And so I was, doing life coaching, and I was like, this is fun. I get to meet strangers and, talk to them about their issues, help them bring clarity if they want to hear it. I was having a ball. It wasn't about the money. It was about the process. I was experiencing life and loving every bit of it. Not so much anymore. I'm tired. I'm tired, and so being that I haven't put myself in it like I was in the beginning, the money has actually was cut in half. So I bring about $600 now every week, and that's fine. Sometimes it's $300. I don't put much effort into it, but before I did. And when I say effort, I mean I put myself into it in terms of I wanted to do this because I enjoyed doing it. And like I said, the money was great, but there is a difference in terms of my being, in terms of how much of myself I was putting in. This is what was different. This is what is different now versus before. So in the past, I was able to generate more, but I was in a different space. I was able to generate differently back then because I was in a different space. I was in a different place. My energy was different. Now I have other desires. And I'm still kind of doing it, but I like driving. But I have other desires. I want to do other things. So, of course, the universe is going to support that. So it's going to lessen its support in the area that I'm not really focused on anymore. So I'm not focused on Uber driving or anything like that. So it's going to decrease the manifestation that comes from that, because now I'm desiring something else. And so now, because of where I am in my soul condition, I can't just think about it and it come to me. There's certain things that I feel like I have to do in order to receive. There's certain actions that need to take place. No, I'm not saying it's a whole lot of action. I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying that I have to be a cooperative component towards this. I have to be, I don't, is it cooperative component that I want to? No, I have to be present. I have to collaborate with the universe towards this thing that I desire, because I'm no longer desiring the other thing anymore. It's there, I can do it, but that's just it. There's no more excitement from that. So now I need to focus my energy towards something else that I'm excited about. And the thing is, I haven't done it yet. But one of the motivations to do things is to, if you want to be motivated to do something, it's almost like something has to be taken away from you somewhere else. And it doesn't have to be. But this is it's kind of like this is what allows you to create more. If everything was just remained the same, you would always fall back on it. But because I'm learning, because a lot of us are learning, we have to learn how to move and experience different things. Can I just continue to do Uber? Yeah, but like I said, my desire isn't there anymore. So how can something manifest the same if the desire I have isn't the same? The manifestation must match the desire from your soul. Sure, my mind says I can get in my car and drive, but there's something in my soul that wants more. It wants to experience something else. And so I have to foster that, because it's a desire of mine. And it's my responsibility, it's my obligation to myself to make my desires come true in any way that I can. Some people have to, like I said, if I have to start off by working hard physically, then hey, that's what needs to be done in order for the manifestation to happen. If I need to learn, if I can manage to generate something without being so physically driven or using my will, my manpower, then the universe will deliver that to me as well in that fashion, but only where I'm at. You can only get something based on where you're at. There are some, like I said, like I'm running through the hood right now. Obviously, these people who are living in the hood, they feel as if they can't have something. And the things that they feel they can have are the extent of their feeling of themselves having that which they desire. You understand? Like, for instance, a homeless person may say, hey, yeah, I always find bottles and cans. I always find bottles and cans. Okay, if you always find bottles and cans, and you have a belief that you will always find bottles and cans, and there's a conviction within you that is like, hey, it doesn't matter what time I get up. Or you may say, I have to get up at 7 o'clock in order to find all the bottles and cans. I may have to get up at 5 o'clock. I have to get up before the sun comes up and start looking for bottles and cans before the other people get to it. And so if this is a desire, then if this is a desire, then I'm sorry, if this is a belief, sorry, there's a car behind me. If this is a belief, then this is something that they have to do in order for their manifestation to happen. If it's not a manifestation, if it's not a desire, then that's not what I wanted to say. I'm so confused right now. I'm just like, okay, Zach. So anyway, if there's a homeless person and they truly believe that they have to do something, again, this goes back to the action they must take in order for the manifestation to happen. So if they believe that what they're doing is, or what they if they believe that they have to do something in order to get something in return, then that's their belief. But there are some people who believe it doesn't matter what time I get up or where I go, I'm always going to find it. Okay, so now they have a belief that they don't have to do something a certain way in order to get it. They just know what's going to happen. They know in order, some homeless people believe I'm always going to be taken care of. They don't even have to look for bottles and cans. They don't have to look for that in order to generate money to buy food, because they believe I'm always going to be fed if I stand in front of McDonald's or if I stand in front of Jack in the Box. And then you have the homeless people who stand in front of Jack in the Box and stand in front of McDonald's and nobody buys them anything, because they have a belief of scarcity within their being, and so they can't even generate. Okay, sorry about that. My phone got too hot and it stopped. It's like 114 degrees or something. I record in HD and it uses a lot of memory, so the processor just gets really hot. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'm not going to say anything else about that, but I just wanted to at least put an ending to the video. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday, and if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask. If you want me to talk about something, then please feel free to ask. And wait a minute, there's a 3 missing from that 40. The lottery was 340, but I only see 40. I don't know if their 3 is out or somebody won. Wait, I thought the drawing was on Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. I think today's Wednesday. Maybe there was just a 3 missing. I was gonna play. I should still play. I wanna play. Anyway, that's it. So enjoy. Have a happy Wednesday, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right. Bye now.